Scientific research at the University of Southern California is being conducted on a grand scale to generate discoveries that will change society. One office at USC, the Office of Research and Innovation, is responsible for overseeing and supporting research and innovation across the university. One man, Dr. Ishwar Puri, known as Ish, leads this office. Ish has made it his mission to get to know each of these scientists personally and to understand their work. He accomplishes this by simply having conversations over coffee. These conversations have become known as Coffee with Ish.
Thank you for the copy. I am Mahta Moghaddam. I am a professor of electrical and computer engineering here in the Viterbi school. That's what I care about the most, doing my research, my teaching, working with students, and contributing to the university.
So you yourself are a very distinguished scientist and engineer. What brought you here today?
So I started as a physics major, and then I quickly changed to electrical engineering because I thought, I love physics, but I thought that engineers are the ones who actually do the work. I just happened to really enjoy the subject of electromagnetics. JPL, hired me because they had a funded project that needed someone to work on some theoretical side of remote sensing from space or from air. And this was radar, so electromagnetic waves, microwave, radio frequencies. And then, of course, one thing leads to another. I was then pulled on to the Cassini radar mission.
I was always very passionate about nature and being curious and wanting to learn. So when we think about sustainability, let's say, we're thinking a lot about emissions of air pollution and global warming and all that, but what's somewhat missing from the conversation lately is how that translates to air pollution exposure that people are breathing in and what that is doing to their health.
The story of agriculture taught us so many lessons in terms of how not to harm, that we simply know better how to do it in the ocean. Sustainable Aquaculture Lab is something that we started about 2 years ago. We build up aquaculture systems and we are developing sustainable crops of the future to start farming ocean.
So talk to us about the pivot from space, radar, to sustainability.
So they share techniques. The same methods we use to study planetary bodies with radar are the same techniques we use here on Earth. So radar signals are very powerful. You can actually penetrate through vegetation canopies, you can penetrate the soil, you can probe water content in soil, you could see where water resources are, like groundwater resources. So these are all important quantities that we need to know for sustainability. We need to know where the water is, we need to know where carbon is, and what's happening to water and carbon.
Anytime we talk about water, it's about quality and quantity and access, right, at the right time and in the right place that you need it.
In the case of kelp that we are working with, it is brown algae. It is how to make it sequester carbon and excess nitrogen from water better. That is pretty much like applying engineering principles to biology. How do you make your organism perform better? We are trying to focus on what is called restorative aquaculture. That part of aquaculture that doesn't require fertilizers or biological or chemical inputs to remove those excesses that we put in the ocean. It is remove carbon, thereby slowing global warming.
We are on a warming trend. To a large degree, it is because of the accumulation of greenhouse gases.
You want to somewhat be an activist, you want to push for change, you're told you're supposed to be objective, you provide the data, you provide the evidence. In climate change, right, we're thinking about these big macro problems and these global scales, but also at the end of the day, it's people who get exposed to things and have these health risks. So some of it is my work with wildfire smoke. Some of it is heat modeling and understanding how heat stress is impacting population health and who has access to these kinds of resources to be resilient through heat.
What work have you done in this context, and tell us how you moved the needle?
Before I set out to develop an engineering method or an instrument, make sure that the stakeholder, the end user, who are the scientists, actually have a use for it and it's going to solve one of their problems. Forget that you're an engineer. What does the scientist want?
Global warming is happening very, very fast. So we need to resort to those parts of aquaculture which has the smallest chance of harming environment and the highest chance of helping environment to remain healthy or even improving that environment. And you do need to draw all that excess carbon and all those excess nutrients from the ocean and produce biomass, right? There is no waiting time.
Talk to us about a sliver of sustainability that you and a team or our colleagues have banded together, and a sliver where we might see some hope.
I mean, the context is important at USC because we have the President's Working Group on Sustainability, which has been absolutely fabulous. It has opened my eyes to the large range of sustainability-related work that goes on at USC.
I'm very excited about the work I do and sort of these new waves in research even and in science where everybody's trying to think more solutions. You know, the more answers you find, the more questions you find.
When you look into the ocean from land, it looks empty. It's very wrong because ocean has multiple uses for anchorage, for fishing, for recreation, and those uses need to be carefully regulated so people don't run it into each other. So having that ecosystem of people who are doing different things in the ocean together and being able to speak with each other and to be able to understand how to work on it together and the feeling of being responsible for the future of the world.
Having worked with colleagues at USC who come from diverse discipline areas, you see that sustainability is not just for engineers or for scientists to be concerned with, it's for everybody.
If you think about sustainability, it's fully all hands on deck. Let's all learn each other's language and know how to talk to each other.
To teach students, to train the next generation of, in my case, engineers and scientists.
Well, let me ask you about another thing. Why USC?
USC Office of Research and Innovations has been our lifeline.
Fantastic support in helping me put together the right team, the right administrative structure, and also assemble the science.
USC is very unique. The spectrum of what we have at USC is really hard to match.
Every time I'm teaching or talking to the younger generation, it's kind of saying, you know, enough with the talking about all the problems, we need solutions now.